Yeah, that's it. That's the enthusiasm you get. How did I somehow convert this to look into as if it was an interrogation room? Skills. Nobody ever needed skills. Hi, hello. Now I hear you. You're like, Maya, I swear you posted a video that was on Besa Mafia, and yes I did. I posted a podcast, I posted a video. However, since I've done that, a victim's sister actually got in touch, and she got in touch with other podcasters, other YouTubers, asking for her sister's story to be removed because it's contributing to family grief, the family, and her son is getting bullied, and that's obviously what none of us wants. So most of us have removed that story. So that was the first story out to the free in that Besa Mafia video. So now you're seeing me under this weird light, I don't know what is going on, it's like interrogation room light, to tell you a different first story, and it's just gonna explain roughly how Besa Mafia operates as a website, and then you'll see me in a different setting telling you the rest of the stories. Now there are reasons why this website is not accessible on the general web to the public, because dark web usually has to do with dark true crime stuff, such as hiring a hitman. So let's say you are that special person that wants to hire a hitman for somebody. You go onto the dark web, you access this Besa Mafia website. It has been removed now, but it's out there under different names. Why you might choose Besa Mafia over other websites? Well, first, on the website, it's this Godfather font. It tells you that all other hitman websites are a scam, but Besa Mafia is real. And why else? It has glowing reviews. I mean, 5-star reviews all throughout, because they use freelancers to write up these reviews for some small money. For websites such as like Fiverr, for example, you're like, hey, write a review that would improve their SEO, which would then improve how they're found on this dark web. So you know how you have like sponsored posts on Google or like stuff that pops up first? Well, that's kind of how SEO works. Now that you're on this website, you can again stop yourself, because there's a whole contact form. So you could stop yourself along the way, right? But there's a contact form. You know how like you would have like, hey, contact us and we'll respond in 48 hours on the normal websites. Well, they have kind of like the equivalent of that. So you would put in a form and be like, hey, I want X person dead. How much would that cost? Kind of like tell me. Again, another reason why you would choose Besa Mafia over the others is this is the Albanian mafia where Besa means trust. Now briefly, trust in the Balkans is taken seriously, and now you're like, yeah, trust is taken seriously everywhere, Maya. However, for example, I can tell you from my own country, for us, like if you choose a godfather or like a godmother at a wedding or like at a child's christening, this is a person that will take care of your husband, wife, so your partner, or like of your child, God forbid if something was to happen to you. So we do take it to that extreme. So when being recruited even as a hitman to Besa Mafia, you are to give an oath, you are to give your Besa. Now let's say you have actually not stopped yourself, you have gone through this whole process and you have submitted a contact form. Well, an admin of the website, that in this case is usually called Jura. I personally believe Jura is multiple different admins, but let's say this Jura exists, contacts you. He's like, okay, cool, I really hear that you want this person dead. What we're gonna do is download an app like local bitcoins. In this particular story it was local bitcoins. So download this Bitcoin app. And then what you do is you're gonna meet with a person. So this again establishes the trustworthiness, right? So you meet with a person, bring on the cash. Don't care how you take that cash out of the bank, you bring on a bag of cash, you exchange the cash, they're gonna scan the QR code, and then they're gonna transfer you this Bitcoin. Because for the kill, you need to pay in Bitcoins. Because again, it's kind of like you're leaving less traces online if it's Bitcoin. Although everything is going, your handle is visible, your IP address, you're being pretty dumb if you're doing this, basically is what I'm saying. Now let's say you have followed all those steps, you haven't stopped, you have paid the Bitcoin, now you're like, hello, we agreed on a date, I wanted this person dead by that point. And then that point passes away and you're like, hey, Jura, I expected this to make the news, why is the person that I wanted dead not dead? And then Jura is like, oh, so sorry, the hitman, like they didn't have the right opportunity, right? And then he keeps egging you on. What I mean by that is that he is playing a dangerous game, because now he's like egging you on and be like, no, but you really wanted the damn, what we can do it 10 times more morbidly. Now you give me the ways of like other morbid things we can do. Do you want it to be a car accident? Do you want to die while they're somewhere else? Like we can, we can do something while, I mean, just casually you can kind of add like 30 bitcoins. We can do it even extra for you. So obviously after some time when you realize like, okay, nothing is happening, you might be pissed off and you're like, no, screw this, I'll find another hitman service. Yura, give me a refund. You silly you. You contacted the hitman service, you think they're gonna give you a refund? Of course not. A kind of message that you might receive from Besa Mafia once you ask for a refund might be something along the lines of, the website has been hacked and your information has been passed on to the authorities. And then you, because you proceeded with all of this, are shitting yourself. Justifiably so. But the dangers of this hitman, of Yura, and like the egging on, is that because of the frustration, because you have actually paid, usually on Besa Mafia would charge around 6,000, but then obviously it would be like add-ons and stuff that you want to add if you want these special requests. So at the end of it you might pay even more, and it's because of the egging on and because of like the prolongation of everything that it might cause you to take the matters into your own hands. So this is the reason why I thought in particular like it's good to raise awareness of stories like this so that they don't repeat themselves. Because as you can guess, yes, this Besa Mafia is a scam. It's just founded by people to scam you out of your money. Then they shut the website, have all of your details, and they would just open another website under different names. So in this case, Yura opened a website called Cosa Nostra. They would open different websites and still use the same formula. Use freelancers to give like these glowing reviews on the hitman attacks that have never happened. Then scam people into paying this money, then egg them on to try to milk even more money out of them. Nothing happens in the end, and then he tells them the details have been passed to the FBI and the authorities, and obviously then that person, what are they left with? They can't report it, so the only option they have now is either turn themselves in or take the matter into their own hands. And throughout one of these stories, I think it's the second one you're gonna hear about next, the journalist for Vice actually arranged this anonymous video call with Yura. He wore like balaclava, etc. Who knows who that person was, right? It could have been just anybody, could have been any administrator, but okay, let's say that was Yura. And he basically said the way he feels about it is he's scamming the bad guys, he's scamming the criminals. So how is he in the wrong here? He is the good guy in the situation. And although that logic might not be as far-fetched, the implications of it are pretty high, and the case that I have actually removed is the only case so far where it actually turned out that that person has been pushed to actually kill their own spouse. Because of these decisions, but also because of how the website operates. How it just eggs you on, tries to push you to actually do the deed themselves because themselves are a scam. Now on to the second story of a different case that I can actually tell you about, where again person might or might have not been pushed to take the matters into their own hands, and then the story of the person that uncovered it all. Enjoy and raise awareness about these things, because they are creepy. And important to know, and don't just go onto dark web to search for hitman websites. Within your life. Cool, different settings straight away, right now. Now on to the second story. The second story is about a woman called Alexis Stern. Now, this is not a pattern again, but all of the people in these stories have lived in the online world, not many outside online world hobbies. So yeah, if your takeaway from this story episode is anything, it's get a hobby that's not just online. That's a note to myself as well, personally. So Alexis was also the person that was into, well, at that moment in time, into online dating. February last year, 2019, she's just driving home, again Minnesota, she's trying to get herself home, and she gets stopped and pulled over by the police, and they're like, yeah, we have to talk to you. So they bring her to the station and tell her, there's a hit out in your life. And at first she's freaking out, she's like, who the hell? What the hell? And they're like, well, we have like your description online, it's definitely you, we have your name, your description, sort of like where you live, which is how we found you. This is not a joke, should be taken seriously. And it's like, is there anybody that you think might want to do this to you? She's like, I know just the man. So Alexis, through this dating, has met a guy that's called Adrian Fry. Now, she met this guy online, and Adrian Fry is actually British. He actually traveled to Minnesota to like meet with her, stayed in a hotel close to her house, and then it kind of like developed. They were dating sort of for 2 years, but for her, just like the spark wasn't there. So she cut it off with him. But Adrian, of course, didn't take it well. So he actually wrote to her after they broke up, "You deserve everything bad that happens to you." Sounds like a threat, sir. Sounds like somebody might think you're gonna get a hit out on them. So Alexis here is actually a woman after my own heart. Like, she went through through the messages that he has sent, and then through what this Mastermind 365 has been posting. And she has noticed some similarities. Things like thank you together, that's something that Adrian would write to her, and that's again something that Mastermind 365 would write online. Then this mastermind person would write to Yura that like, hey, I don't have a week's time. And Alexis was like, well, he used to write to me and say a year's time. It's quite like a British thing to say. Then in one of the first messages, he would write like, if you need any further information, can you inbox me? And she's like, yeah, nobody in the US says inbox me. So again, this is like a very British thing that he would do. He would always write letter I, or just like as in a pronoun I, in lowercase. And she's like, yeah, that's again typically Adrian. None of this was like actual evidence, and in this case, they never actually found Mastermind 365. And well, Adrian Fry from the UK has been saying like it's not him. His mom has actually went on like a rampage saying that like Alexis ruined his life, and that these accusations were actually unfounded, and she's just like damaging his son's reputation. One interesting thing emerged out of this second story, and that is that Yura kind of pushes people, I don't want to say too much, but he pushes them to take the matters into their own hands. Because he's just, again, it's a scam business, like he just wants to take the money. The hitmen never actually kill the people. So people start thinking of their own ways, you know. In the case of Stephen Alwine, he was kind of like just really like thinking like, hey, I'll put in the Bitcoin, I just need it done. In the case of Mastermind 365, whoever it is, the person asked Yura to help him get a silencer, which again made like these dark web experts think like he's gonna take these matters into his own hands. But this second story ends here. So Mastermind 365 has never been found. Adrian Fry remains that he is innocent, and Alexis Stern is still looking for the person that has hired a hit on her life. Now the third story is the story that uncovered it all, and is the man that uncovered it all. So in late 2018, Monteiro gets a message, and he is this guy who works for like again cybersecurity kind of thing in London. And he gets a message about a news story on a current murder, well, suicide. Well, the actual message says suicide or murder, and it gives him the article of a suicide of Brian Jorge. And this is like a military man who kind of again died like under suspicious circumstances, and his dad has never been convinced that this was declared correctly as a suicide. Like, he believes his son has been murdered and there has been like a hit on his life. And why does he believe that? Because again, what was uncovered with this hack, and once the FBI got the information, was that there was a hit on Brian's life, and that somebody has paid about $5,500 for somebody else to like kill Brian. They were like, he's going to be at this military base during these dates, and that's exactly when Brian died. So Monteiro starts digging. And all of his research has pointed out that he couldn't actually pinpoint that any of these people have been killed by a hitman hired online. So he starts publishing blog posts about it. And obviously this gets attention from Yura, so Yura is like, hey, how about you write as a freelancer writer? Yeah, I see your blog, I see your talent. How about you write positive, it's like true positive reviews for us. And it's gonna boost our SEO, it's gonna make other people find us on like Google homepage, and yeah, it's gonna work out great for us. And Montero is like, no, no sir, no. Also, what Montero uncovered is like basically when he would copy user ID and put it like against the URL, like he could actually uncover like the whole archive of messages. So he did. And he just made copies of all of these archives with like target names, user IDs, hit lists of like all these people. And that's when he started thinking, but like what if other people crack this? It's not super complicated, is it? So what if other people have had access to other people's target lists and took the matter into their own hands again? So once Montero posted that the website is a scam, Yura fired back, and he actually managed to hack into Rational Wiki, into Montero's blog, and to make an edit to his post. And the edit said, all of the other Hitman websites are fake, but Besa Mafia is real. And Montero is now like spooked. It's like, okay, he's hacking into my websites, this is like my personal space now, boundaries are needed, sir. After he hits back, Yura is actually like, listen, I'm just blatantly going to tell this to you as a threat. If you don't get neutral at best, and well, positive at best, and neutral at worst, like we are going to publish and make sure that everybody online thinks that you're an undercover cop. That's not gonna work well for you, is it? And not just that, but Yura actually sent him in like a comment to the blog post as well, like a link. And basically once Montero opened up this link, it was a link of somebody like holding an A4 paper. The sheet read, gang members on Besa Mafia on deep web, and then the camera turns towards a car and you can see the car is burning. And Montero is like, oh, this is now a threat. So he finally goes to the police, he goes to the Met. The Met sends him to like National Crime Agency, so NCA. And then the NCA is like, well, this car doesn't seem to be burning right here in the UK, so this is not within our jurisdiction. So Montero turns to the internet yet again. So Montero was like, okay, there's all these vulnerabilities, and now with this hack, let's take the website down. And he does, and he leaves like this picture on the website of this rusty door, and it says, after 6 months of scamming criminals for their bitcoins and stealing over 100 BTC, the site was closed. No one was ever beaten up or killed. However, like, his happiness was kind of short-lived here. Well, first of all, because obviously they're not gonna stop with Besa Mafia being closed, so they opened up this new website called Crimebase, so he's like back at it again. And obviously he uses the same shitty source code, so Montero here is again doing the same exact thing on another website. It's like, yep, copy paste, whole archiving everything. However, like, chasing this back and forth will become, well, the least of his problems, because as one of those nights when he is doing that, the police actually barges into his flat and they arrest him. So the Besa Mafia here has actually owned up to their threat. They have managed to publish posts as if Montero was publishing them, and to even make him appear as like the admin of this website. Which obviously didn't go well for him. Well, he was actually in custody for about 2 days, and then finally he managed to actually convince them, like, he was communicated in working with the agency, which is different agents, can you do your comms and let me live, and they dropped the charges. And luckily now the NCA actually starts to take this seriously, so they have made arrests for the people that were, well, out there conspiring to commit murder. So they have made a couple of arrests. Some people are serving like really little amount of time, like from some articles I read like a couple of months or like at best couple of years. And then there are people that are getting away scot-free just because they managed to convince that they were actually not thinking about doing anything. There was no intention there. And that's not kind of like when you say like, oh, I want to kill somebody, you're like, oh, frustrated. Which again, we should, you know, drop that, because Alex is always listening, or, you know, Siri or whoever. But yeah, this is more like you actually looked for a website, you found the website, you have submitted like an online form. You know, there was a couple of steps where you could have stopped yourself and not have gone through all of these steps. So I don't know how they managed to convince people to just let them go scot-free, but some of them did. Our hero Monteiro has actually set up the, the Google ping once people actually search for any of these targets, and that's how he found out about the story of Brian Jorogen. Now, of course, this website and websites like this will live on under the name Besa Mafia or other names online. Using freelance services, they will always manage to, well, stay foundable. What they do is, well, they pay people for fake reviews. Of course, if you pay somebody any amount of money, people out there doing weird shit for money, okay? And this further then works for the SEO and how they're easily found online. And obviously when people see positive reviews, they're convinced. They're like, yep, I'm gonna submit a hit, move my bitcoins into this wallet, pay for this, and guess what? Get a hit onto this person that I have hated for a longest time. Yeah. So I have no doubt that this is still giving the agencies some work, and well, probably Monteiro some work as well. What I'd like you to let me know down below is, what do you think about like the culpability here? Who is actually culpable, and what would motivate each and every person? So like, what would motivate that hitman, let's say if it was actually done by a hitman, what would motivate them to like act out in certain cases compared to the others? And if it's actually done by people, do you actually think like you can push somebody to that extent that then they're like that frustrated that they actually just act out on the hit that they initially wanted to set themselves? I still think the highest risk is that all of this is so easily hackable and accessible, which potentially means like people like you and me can access a hit list online, and then what if there's just somebody out there who wants to act out, who wants to become the next biggest serial killer? He just has a hit list ready and set for them with information on how people look like, where they live, their address, just everything about them set out for them. It's like easiest targets. That's what truly scares me about this story, and that's why I was like, I need to make people aware that this shit exists out there. Don't commit to living life online, and just as desperate as you are for money, maybe consider not leaving positive reviews or a website that has the word mafia in it, or like hireahitman.com. Yeah, maybe like read reviews there's other places to read reviews. Don't just fall into everything, because your day might be attached to it next day. But that's it. That's the case. I want to know your thoughts. Down below, comment section, hit it. Oh, I can't wait for somebody to be like, this doesn't exist, you just invented this story. But like, yeah, sure, just hours of research, totally couldn't find this online anywhere. Apart from that, I have nothing else to tell you, and nothing else to say, and you know what it means, this is an outro. Somehow this became a fucking outro. So until next time, arrivederci, bye, bye, bye.